Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Oxford Business Insight podcast. This is a series of podcasts where we talk to business owners from across our city and region to learn a bit more about their background story for their business, their life, and also the challenges they faced in growing their businesses. I'm delighted today that I'm introducing Tom Happe, founder of TrueLeads, which is a post-pandemic success story in the business-to-business lead generation market. Tom, welcome.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me. Excited to get going.
Brilliant. Well, look, let's get started in a moment. But just to summarise, this is from losing your job in lockdown to a £1 million revenue company today. You've turned sort of challenge into opportunity, and it's what I loved about your story is a story of grit, innovation, and the power of personal networks. And your story of how you became a great salesman is one that really interests me. So let's kick off with those early days. So tell us a little bit about what the early working days are like for you. What led up to eventually TrueLeads, but I know there's quite a bit went on before you launched that.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. So, yeah, my background before founding TrueLeads was very much in sales. So, I was an enterprise, sales rep,
Yeah.
worked in cybersecurity. So, but before that, when I graduated, sort of 2008, 2009. Worked at IBM for a year. I was sort of going down that graduate path. And obviously, as you know, at that time, the global financial market crashed.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into sales, but I ended up working in Oxford actually for electrical wholesaler. So not in the tech world that I wanted to get into, in a very old traditional business, working in a warehouse. But I was a sales guy. I was given a car, a phone, and
Right.
told to get on the road and go and get new business as part of a graduate management scheme. So it taught me the hard way. Although, when I had a degree from one of the best universities in the country, had a placement at IBM, I was actually working and then knocking on doors and selling the hard way. So that was sort of where this started. After about 2 years of doing that, I was successful, but I sort of thought it wasn't, going to be the long-term career. I did want to get into technology. I eventually got a job. I had to take a step down in that job into more of an internal sales rep, but
Yeah.
I got into the cybersecurity world at a vendor called Kaspersky. And then I went on a 10-year journey from an internal sales rep to a VP of sales within cybersecurity. Um, and was one of the top performers in every company I went to. But very much wanted to climb that sort of corporate
Yeah.
sales ladder to get to where I wanted to go.
Okay, so that brings us. What sort of time we talk about? Coming up towards the sort of 2018, 2019, that sort of time.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So at that time, I'd been there, in the industry about 10 years. So I'd
Yeah.
worked for 3 or 4 different companies, and forged a good career. Was well respected in my network. Had built a good relationship with end users and clients, and was earning good money for my age, and formed a good sales career.
Excellent. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the stories about how you came to set up True Leads. And I know that possibly wasn't your first thought of what you were going to do when you were setting up your own business. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So I think it's always been a dream of mine to have my own business ever
Yeah.
since I was very young. Every single company I worked at, I was always thinking there'd be a better way to do this, or I could be doing this myself, but
Yeah.
never had the guts to go and actually do it. At the time, I just changed roles. I've been in my company sort of about a year, was just sort of finding my feet, building pipeline. COVID was just about to hit, and I was
Yeah.
sort of thinking, there was a bit of pressure on at the time to perform, etc. And I thought this may be the opportunity to go and build my own business. And I started building the business around cybersecurity, so a
Right.
cybersecurity reseller, True Cyber. That was my original plan. Alongside that, I then started to help people generate leads.
Yeah.
Fortunately, lost my job sort of May 2020. Got made redundant. But I saw that as the catalyst to actually go and build a business. So I
Yeah.
didn't go and apply for any more jobs.
Yeah.
I thought this is the chance, right? I had some redundancy money. I had nothing to lose essentially, apart from I didn't have a six-figure salary coming and I had to go and
Yeah.
build that myself. But it was an opportunity to actually go and build something that I've always wanted to do.
Excellent. And so, and what? So you were thinking about doing cybersecurity, but it's fair to say now that the lead generation side is a bigger part of your business at the moment. Is
Yeah, absolutely. See, yeah, my original plan, when I worked in cybersecurity, it's very much a channel model, so we
yeah,
always work with channel partners. My plan was to become a channel partner, use the relationships I had, and go and sell into them. The challenge with that was obviously they were bigger deals, but they took a lot longer to get going, and I didn't have the luxury of time. I was very
yeah,
much in the survival mode at that point, in the heart of lockdown. So I started just helping the vendors I used to work with generate those initial meetings and leads, which was something I was always quite good at in terms of
yeah.
opening the doors. And I taught them a methodology and a sort of strategy on LinkedIn to be able to reach out to their ideal prospects and start generating leads and meetings and obviously at the time, if you remember back at that sort of time, all these sort of face-to-face events that all these companies had lined up all got cancelled.
Yeah.
It was very hard to get hold of people on the phone because they weren't in the office anymore unless you had their mobile numbers. But people were looking at new innovative ideas to generate leads, generate pipeline, and get in front of their customers still in these very challenging times.
Okay. And so you really started where you basically started. I believe you started in the garage as well, didn't you? In terms of the big Swiss
Exactly.
office.
Yeah, I had I got a young family still. I had,
Yeah.
three kids at the time, four now, but I was homeschooling them. My wife worked in A&E. I needed my own space, converted the garage, set up a desk and got going. I literally had my laptop, a phone, and LinkedIn, and built the business
That's
in.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, so talk us through a little bit about TrueLeads itself. I know you started off working for people that you probably knew from one form or another, using your network, as often is the case for new startups. But what makes you different? TrueLeads different from other lead gen firms, and what markets do you sort of focus on? Where's your primary, and has that changed over time?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that has changed. I think the first couple of years you don't know that. You're dealing with lots of different markets and different people,
Yeah,
different personas. We have found a sweet spot in similar companies I used to work with in sort of like enterprise or mid-enterprise level
yeah,
clients that they have large deals they need to close, but their challenge with that at the moment, as you know, is you need to be engaged with your buyers really early in the sales funnel now. So the
yeah,
importance of your personal brand and social selling is becoming even more important. So they're the sorts of companies that we try and work with. But saying that, we have had a shift back. All the learnings over the last few years have led me to believe that social selling really does work. It
yeah,
really, really works. It's built a whole business for me. And yes, there was some old connections there, but it's the connections I've been building up over the last 3, 4, 5 years that have helped build the business. So with the mindset of helping other businesses and other salespeople do that, we're seeing great results. And I think, yes, we have pivoted to helping with email campaigns. We could do calling, we could do multi-channel outreach. I'm really, really a firm believer in the personal branding and the social selling side of things. And I think with the rise of AI and the rise of automation, people are
yeah.
crying out for the personal touch. People do buy from people, and I think if I can help other founders and other
Yeah.
salespeople do that, they will win. You will make it work on LinkedIn with the right approach.
And so is LinkedIn your primary source? I know you do a lot on there, but do you do other social media as well, or is it predominantly?
Predominantly 90% of it is LinkedIn. We
Right.
do share things on other channels, but LinkedIn is the number one B2B social network, as you
Yeah.
know. See, even more like 70, 80% of B2B interactions happen on LinkedIn in terms of social engagement. And I think even in the last couple of months, that's increasing. I think people are getting a little bit fed up of the automated messages,
Yeah.
the spam in their inbox, the unlimited cold calling. So building a brand, building your personal brand, and having being a magnet towards clients coming to you is the way that we like to work and try and teach our customers to do that. But it needs to be the right client that has the right sort of mindset and
Yeah.
belief in that methodology. And if they do, then we can get it to work for them.
Excellent. And just interesting, we said the rights to the client. Can you be a little bit more specific? Who's your ideal prospect? If some, in terms of what's somebody you think, yeah, we could do a great job for you.
So there's probably two or three buckets really. So the first one would be a founder, so somebody like
Yeah,
myself who's got a business, whether that's a large corporate or a small business, but founder-led content is outperforming everything at the moment. So,
yeah,
and one other thing I want to make clear as well is you don't need to be an influencer. I'm not an influencer on LinkedIn. I've got 12,000 followers, which I built. I've got hundreds of thousands. I've never had a viral post. I'm not sharing all the time, but I
yeah.
built a business from it. You don't need to be an influencer to benefit from LinkedIn. So if you're a founder of any description, I think you should be trying to build your personal brand on LinkedIn because you will get inbound inquiries. You're the face of the company, whichever way you look at it. And that's the great way of generating leads in today's market. Secondly, if you're, slightly a bigger company and you may have a sales team, I'm a big believer in sort of employee advocacy. So a lot of the companies I work with, obviously they have great marketing, they have great content, they have great marketing team, but there's a real disconnect between that and the sales team. So if you can get some of your sellers, probably not all of them, but the ones that want to embrace social selling to start sharing some of the company
Yeah.
content, adding their views on things, starting to, be a brand of the company, you're going to get at least 20 times reach sharing from their posts as you would from the company post. So some of our larger customers would have teams of people using our service and they're benefiting from creating this great content and distributing it through their sales teams.
Can I just ask, in terms of some companies that don't necessarily have a culture of their people using social media to any great extent, or certainly not for business purposes,
Mhm.
can that is there anything a founder can do to help spread that culture within the business and get over the message? Look, this helps everybody. Yeah, it'll help your own personal profile, but it'll help the business that you
Yeah,
work
yeah,
with.
yeah. I mean, it's not easy. I think that is the
Yeah,
challenge. I mean, even within our business, we have the same thing. People can see the success of what my profile's done, and
yeah,
trying to relay the message across the team is difficult. But what I would say is that if you had say you had a team of 10 sales guys, you probably get one or two people that really want to embrace it. They're doing it already. They're sharing. But my view is that if you could get everybody up to similar level, even if they're all doing 50%,
yeah,
it's going to benefit the whole team. So if you can get buy-in from more of the sales team or the team as a
yeah.
whole, you're going to benefit greatly. So it's um it's about getting everyone bought into the vision of it
Yeah.
really, and everyone aligned with the goals and objectives. If you can do that, which is sometimes tricky at bigger organization, you will see the results. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So tell us a little bit. You've grown pretty significantly since starting in the garage in lockdown. And what challenges were that along that growth path? I can imagine, when it was just you, telephone, laptop, that you had a great relationship with your customers, but at the same time, there must have come a point where you thought, I can't do all this on my own. So just talk us a little bit about those growth steps and how that happened for you.
Yeah, I think I've been very lucky in the sense that my background is in sales. So, I mean, even before we had the perfect solution website, all the rest of it, I could sell. Like that
Yeah,
was, I had a network. So we quickly got the business going within
yeah,
a few weeks and our first clients onboarded. The biggest challenge for me has been around delivery, retention, etc., in terms of expectations of the clients, and then hiring the right roles to serve the customers, to help the customers, because
yeah,
there is a lot involved within what we do in terms of your data, your messaging, your approach, and it does take a particular skill set to be able to help with all of that. So
yeah,
hiring's obviously been a challenge in that sense. Um, and then I think the other thing as well in terms of building any sort of business, anyone that's listening is there's obviously different types of business you can build. And I think you need to be clear on that because it has, in my personal journey, it's changed quite a lot. I've had the big team, I've had the office, I've had
yeah,
everybody in the office, I've had the remote team, I've had the looking at getting external investment to grow it, I've had the solopreneur type view. So there's many different models you can take. And I think you need to be really clear in what your values are and what you want to achieve from the business before you build it. Yeah,
yeah,
'cause you can get to the point where you've built a business that you don't particularly like to working in a weird way that you didn't, for example, we had the office, which was a 45-minute commute from where I was, and I was commuting every day to go and manage the team. And I was like, well, that's not really the business I wanted to build, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, that's not me. Um, so yeah, that's probably the major challenges is, what type of business you want to build, and then finding people to come on that
Yeah.
journey with you, to execute your vision.
Okay. No, that's really interesting. And so, in terms of what you're working on now to make the business sort of more scalable, and then sort of what's your vision? What does the business look like in 3 to 5 years time? I mean, if things go reasonably to plan.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, the last 5 years have obviously been about establishing the business, getting market fit in what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've got some great customers on board, some great enterprise clients, some good, smaller businesses that use the service. I want to do that more at scale and build more of a process
Yeah.
around that. One of the things we have been guilty of is being too reliant on me as the founder. But we're making a lot of effort now to build a process around that. For example, we've set up a true community now. So a community of members where I can share my knowledge for
Yeah.
free to my customers and prospects and old connections where we can nurture them with content and education. And then when they're ready, we bring them on the journey with the various
Yeah.
services we can offer. So that's what I want to try and do is build more of a community around what we're doing. So it's not isolated to certain individuals. Um, and really build on the personal branding and social selling side of things because I really believe in it. And I really
Yeah.
think with the shift of AI and everything, although AI is brilliant, we use it in the background for various tasks. I do think building your brand and having that face-to-face human connections but going to become even more valuable in the
Yeah.
next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. No, I think that, and would the just talk generally about AI in lead generation. I've seen, there's lots of potential applications. Clearly, there's some administrative things in the background that you would think AI can contribute to. But how far do you think AI could go? I mean, technically, it could go the whole way in terms of you could probably automate just about
Yeah.
anything. But where do you think realistically, particularly in B2B sales, that AI might take us in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating. It's like every week it's changing and I'm learning it, etc. But even some of the you get the AI callers and things you got now, and the obviously you're right, you can build agents now that can do most of this automatically. So I think you need to be very careful of get again what you're building. But the basics, the principles at the moment in terms of like tagging our leads, helping write the content, helping with mapping out our ideal client persona, all the things we were doing manually or getting contractors to do, you can do that with AI. So it's not necessarily replacing jobs, it's
Yeah.
making them better. You can do more with less, essentially. So that's been a game changer, and obviously means we can be a lot leaner as a business. Um, the larger clients are obviously, the larger businesses are embracing it even more, and the likes of Salesforce, etc., having full-blown agents that could do most of this. But I still think the missing piece with all of it is building your own personal brand and your own
Yeah.
social selling practice. I think there still is a massive market for that. But in terms of automating emails, the copy of the emails, the data, it's absolutely unbelievable. Some of the things you can do with these tools in terms of the targeting. So I think the main reason or the main area we'd help with in terms of embracing that is finding your target audience with
Right.
the sort of intent data. I mean, AI can help with that massively.
Yeah.
So you're reaching out to the right people at the right time with the right persona. So along not like the days when I first started, it was more a numbers game, spray and pray, hit the phone, meet as many people as you can.
Yeah.
It's a complete reverse now. It's about understanding your market and using AI to do that is absolute game changer.
Excellent. No, that's really good insight. Thank you for that. And presumably, in terms of the type of clients you work for, do you see that changing much from your sort of? If you take a look at your client base today, do you think that's going to change? A new company's going to come in needing your support, or there's some that might take it in house that you work with now?
Yeah, I think again, like the big teams of users is great, but obviously they take longer to close. They're a lot
Yeah.
harder to manage in terms of different stakeholders within the business because you need marketing, sales aligned at
Yeah.
least, and then you need all the individual users bought into it. So although that's a fantastic use case and I really believe in it, I do think there's a massive market for helping the founders and individual
Yeah.
salespeople that really want to embrace it. Because you're right, it's not for everybody. It's not everybody wants to do it, but
Yeah.
the ones that do see the results. So I think we will see a shift in that, not necessarily the types of customers, but the people within those customers that want to embrace social selling.
Okay. And so, if you were talking to somebody, somebody listening or viewing this podcast, and they were selling B2B, but they weren't currently using sort of personal branding or particularly using your sort of techniques. How should they make themselves feel comfortable? Is there any sort of homework they should do before they engage with somebody like you? Is it just a question of pick up the phone and have a chat? What's the best way of them engaging with you, Tom?
So yeah, if they wanted to engage with us, I mean, we obviously run in the True community now. You can find that on LinkedIn. You can find me at Tom Happe on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
or you can go to trueleads.com.
yeah,
And you can find all the information there around how we can help. But if you'll be the early stages of that, I'd highly recommend you check out anything on YouTube in terms of you know, LinkedIn, personal
yeah,
branding, sales navigator, how to build lists. Just start. I think that's the
yeah.
main thing.
I think that's
Even
right. Yeah,
if you start with just trying to sit down for half an hour and work out 50 of your ideal clients, like really think about who your ideal prospects are, and then find them on LinkedIn and add them as a connection. Number one, just have because once they're a first degree connection,
yeah,
they're going to see everything you're sharing and you can message them. So it's not you don't need to sell to them at this point. Just connect with them,
yeah,
tell them who you are, why you're connecting, and add them as a connection. And you'll never know that person. It could be 6 months, it could be 2 years time. Once they see your post and they see what
yeah.
you're doing, they're part of your network. So it's an easier way to do that opposed to cold calling and emailing and the traditional route. So
Okay, yeah, no, I get that. I also would add, I mean, there is a lot of training and material out there, but I also have generally found it does depend what membership level you have on LinkedIn, but I do think LinkedIn's own training, of course, if you
yeah,
have
yeah,
access
yeah,
to it, is pretty good
yeah,
as well. I've never seen a bad one. I think there
yeah. No,
might be
it's
better
brilliant.
ones around, but it's good. So okay, well, look, we've covered a lot. There, Tom. A lot of ground of how you've built this business. Do you see the cybersecurity ever coming back into your life in future as a business, or do you see TrueLeads as something you're going to sort of focus on for the next few years?
Yeah, I think it's always going to have a place in my my life and my heart, whether I like it or not. But we do help a lot of cybersecurity vendors, so I'm still involved in that community.
Right.
I have a lot of, my old connections are there and even end users. So it's something I'm still involved with. But again, I like to be focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I really believe in True Leads and the value we're delivering. So if I can help more and more, cybersecurity vendors and my peers within sales and marketing help them get the right connections. It's a very saturated market, as you know. So it's even harder to stand up through the noise. But, I like a challenge.
Excellent. Okay, look, we've recapped Tom's journey from when he graduated, going through IBM and then into electrical wholesaler, doing a job that perhaps he didn't plan at university, but seems to have given him good sales techniques. Through a career in cybersecurity to launching a business in the midst of the pandemic to a very well established and high quality lead generation company called TrueLeads. Tom said just a little earlier about how to contact him. Look him up on LinkedIn or trueleads.com to find out more, or you can come via myself on Oxford Business Insights. And thank you very much for your time, Tom. And that's a great story, and I think a lot of people will hopefully take heart from the founders' story and branding, but also take heart from the journey that you've been through. So thank you very much for your time, Tom.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks for having me. Cheers. Thank you.